Huge! Alpine's new driver. Alpine should forget about Pierre Gasly and sign this 27-year-old racer. Nyck de Vries made waves last weekend when he practiced for Aston Martin and raced with Williams at the Italian Grand Prix. By our estimation, this has only happened 3 times before, and it was an opportunity that was long overdue for the Dutchman. De Vries has been waiting for a chance to arise with McLaren when he was part of their young driver program, but he was released when it became apparent that there was no room for him. Since then, the now 27-year-old has won the Formula 2 title as well as the Formula E championship, so those who have been paying attention to his career in recent years will know that this was a call-up long in the making. So, why should Alpine sign this new driver? Who is De Vries, and will Alpine sign this driver? Let's dig deeper into it. Nyck de Vries made waves last weekend when he practiced for Aston Martin and raced with Williams at the Italian Grand Prix. By our estimation, this has only happened 3 times before, and it was an opportunity that was long overdue for the Dutchman. De Vries has been waiting for a chance to arise with McLaren when he was part of their young driver program, but he was released when it became apparent that there was no room for him. Since then, the now 27-year-old has won the Formula 2 title as well as the Formula E championship, so those who have been paying attention to his career in recent years will know that this was a call-up long in the making. De Vries had already practiced with Williams in Spain and then Mercedes in France, before appearance number 3 took place with Aston Martin during Friday practice in Monza. That, for all intents and purposes, was that. The F2 and FE champion would sit out the rest of the weekend and shadow the Mercedes team as Sir Lewis Hamilton and George Russell made a bid for the podium. However, Alex Albon came down with appendicitis on Friday night, so Williams were in need of a replacement for final practice. Up stepped De Vries. The Dutchman went just 1/10 of a second slower than Nicholas Latifi on Saturday morning before the Canadian was knocked out in the first qualifying session. De Vries made it through though, and he ended up 13th. More might have been possible were it not for a brake-setting error that saw him lock up on his final run. Grid penalties for Hamilton, Sergio Perez, Carlos Sainz, Esteban Ocon, and Valtteri Bottas lifted him to 8th for the start, and his race performance was fantastic. The former Mercedes EQ racer held on to his place in the top 10, and the driver making his debut at short notice looked as though he had been part of the grid for years. Indeed, De Vries showed that he is an experienced, capable driver with his 9th-placed finish that forced Latifi back down to 21st in the championship. 2 Williams drivers have scored points for the British side in 2022, and Latifi, one of their full-time racers, is not one of them. The 27-year-old is a loved member of the paddock. He has a warm, vibrant personality, but he has not been able to deliver the performance Williams have been looking for on a consistent basis. It looks likely that the 2019 F2 runner-up will leave when his contract expires at the end of the season. But who will replace him? As admirably as Logan Sargent has performed in F2 this year, Williams may be wise to keep him there for 1 more year, and De Vries might be the perfect option to slot in. Team principal Jost Capito had Alpine reserve Oscar Piastri in his thoughts when weighing up his driver options for next season. But in De Vries, he is an experienced, proven racer who has already done a superb job within the Grove-based squad. Surely Williams might be tempted, but would Alpine also swoop in for him? Well, team principal Otmar Schaffnauer has 14 names to choose from, and De Vries might be one of them. He may also save them some money. Having mismanaged the contractual situation of both Fernando Alonso and Oscar Piastri, the French team would have to buy out the contract of Pierre Gasly, who is contracted to AlphaTauri until the end of next year, if they are to sign him. There is no tangible clause in the 26-year-old's contract, so Alpine would need to negotiate a price with Red Bull, and it would surely be a massive one. They already have to pay a substantial sum in legal fees to McLaren after the Contract Recognition Board, CRB, determined that Piastri's contract with Zak Brown is legitimate. So while Gasly is an attractive option, is he the best one financially? Maybe, and if he and Esteban Ocon can sit down and smooth out any issues they have, it would work even better. But De Vries might just be the more suitable option. There are some tough choices for Schaffnauer to make, but if he wants Gasly and if he can afford Gasly, he should aim for the Frenchman. Williams should really be looking to snap up De Vries for 2023, but be it Williams, Alpine, Haas, or anyone else silly season links the Dutchman with, it would be a great shame not to see Nyck de Vries on the grid next season. If we talk more about Nyck de Vries warns of dangerous precedent as Red Bull driver deal set to fall apart. Nyck de Vries put in a splendid performance at the 2022 Italian Grand Prix when he filled in for Alex Albon at Williams. Williams driver Nyck de Vries believes that waiving the rules to allow Colton Herta into Formula One would set a dangerous precedent. AlphaTauri's Pierre Gasly has been strongly linked with the Alpine seat left vacant by Fernando Alonso after reserve driver Oscar Piastri agreed to join McLaren next year. The French team would need to buy out Gasly's contract if they were to capture him, as he has a deal to stay with Red Bull and its junior team until the end of next year. Not only would the price need to be right, but any move for the 26-year-old would be contingent on Red Bull finding a replacement. The team's advisor, Dr. Helmut Marko, is not convinced by the young talent in Formula 2 at the moment, so he does not want to put any of his juniors in the AlphaTauri car just yet. Herta has won 4 races in IndyCar in as many years, but the Andretti driver only has 32 of the required 40 points to qualify for a super license. IndyCar, in the FIA's eyes, does not hold the same value as F2 or Formula 3 regarding super license qualification, but Red Bull believe it should. They are therefore mulling over making a case to the governing body about granting an exemption for the American, who tested with McLaren earlier this year. DeVries contested a practice session with Aston Martin this weekend, a year after he won the Formula E title with Mercedes EQ. The Dutchman claimed the F2 championship in 2019, and he does have enough super license points to compete in the pinnacle of motorsport. DeVries then qualified an impressive 13th for Williams after taking the place of Alex Albon during final practice after the Thai Briton came down with appendicitis. He finished the race in P9 after being bumped the starting grid due to many drivers being handed grid penalties. The 27-year-old would like to see the super license rules respected amid speculation around Herta's future. "I trust in the governing body, and I think rules are there to be respected," he said. "There are plenty of other drivers in the market that have the super license points, and the necessity is not necessarily that high to go and give someone a dispensation to give a super license. It will give an incorrect precedent and example to Formula 3 and Formula 2 championships." He also said, "I think it will be a shame if we jeopardize our system, and I also think it's unnecessary." Due to grid penalties, De Vries will start the Italian Grand Prix 8th, and he was delighted with his qualifying performance following the late call-up. "Certainly not," he told Sky Sports when asked if this was what he envisioned for his weekend. "When I received the call, I was actually up in the Paddock Club for an appearance. I was literally drinking cappuccino and chilling and waiting. And then, obviously, I received the call from Mercedes, who asked me to come down ASAP, and then I was forwarded to Williams. So, exciting times. Obviously, I feel very sorry for Alex, and I hope that he's okay, and wishing him a speedy recovery." Having put on such a fine display, De Vries has potentially put himself in contention to replace teammate Nicholas Latifi, who is out of contract at the end of the season. Tell us your thoughts about all this in the comments section. Well, that's it from this video. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more of our content, please subscribe to our channel. We're so glad to have you here with us today, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.